A 6-2-7 is a breathing technique. So you're going to inhale through your nose for a slow count. I know you do this a lot, Misty, and we did this last time we presented. So you inhale through your nose for a slow count of 6. Hold your breath for a slow count of 2. Then blow out through your mouth like you're blowing through a straw for a slow count of 7. So the corpus callosum separates the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. When we are actually focused on our breathing, it's the only time our left side of our brain and our right side of our brain are working together. So you are in complete control of your brain. There are Tibetan monks who, once they're awake, they know every breath they take, right? So I can help an athlete calm down. You're about to choose
I made it through the rough time. I made it through the tough time. I made it through the bad time. So now I gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. Gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. I gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. Okay. One day we gon' get on. Talk to 'em. You ain't got a choice.
Welcome to Bailey Buck Unplugged, where we talk about sports, entertainment, and mental health in support of the Kennedy Kids Foundation. If you're struggling with mental health, we encourage you to speak up and get help. A great place to start is 988. That's the free crisis prevention lifeline. Or you can check out the resources tab at kennedykids.org. If you are in an absolute emergency, please dial 911. Either way, we want you to know that you are not alone and that you don't have to struggle, and speak up, get help. There are resources available to you, and we are here to support you. If you're new around here, I want to introduce you to our host. I am Misty Buck. I am an author and a mental health and performance coach. And my co-hosts are Robert Bailey. He is the president of Rosenhaus Sports, the president of Kennedy Kids Foundation. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time college national champion. He's an NFL record holder, and he's an ESPY winner. And we are also joined by Bailey Brooks Mashburn. She is a celebrity wedding and event planner, a former NFL cheerleader, and the executive director of the Kennedy Kids Foundation.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Bailey and Buck Unplugged. We have a super special guest for you today, the Smile Doctor, aka Dr. Jason Scott Hamilton. Him and I go way back, but we'll talk about that later in the show, maybe. Dr. Hamilton, he is a Jamaican native, but he's also based here in Miami. He has a doctorate in clinical psychology. One other thing about him that's super cool is he is the first Jamaican to receive the prestigious International Olympic Committee diploma in the treatment of mental health in elite sport, right? This is like a really intensive program. More than half of the people that are in there do not even graduate from this program because of how difficult it is. But he did it last year. It was a really, really big accomplishment, and we are so proud of him. But, you know, Dr. Hamilton's joining us today. He's worked with a lot of elite athletes such as Shaquille O'Neal, Usain Bolt, and he just returned from Japan, where one of his track athletes from Team Jamaica was crowned the men's 100-meter world champion. So he has so much wealth of information to share with us about mental health and wellness, and I can't wait to get into it. So welcome, Dr. Hamilton.
Woo-hoo! Welcome, Dr. Hamilton. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Misty. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you on the show. So go ahead, Robert. I know you love to ask that first question in.
Yeah, I was going to say that's such a prestigious title. All of his credits. It's awesome to have you on our show, Dr. Hamilton. The first question I want to ask is, as a psychologist, what made you want to get in the space of working with, pro athletes? Just to give us and our fans a little bit of background on why you went into that field. Why pro athletes?
Good question, Robert. So, all right, I came from Jamaica in the fall of '83. Went to the University of Houston. I was there on a soccer scholarship, playing with the team. Team wasn't that good. The basketball team was really good. That was Phi Slamma Jamma with Akeem Olajuwon.
Wow.
And Clyde Drexler. They were my classmates. And Carl
wow.
Lewis was a part of the track and field team. So the soccer team was okay. but the real powerhouse was our basketball. Our American football was good. We went to the Cotton Bowl, but so I went to that university. I pledged a great fraternity at the time, Omega Psi Phi. So I am called Jamma Q in Omega Psi Phi, based on Phi Slamma Jamma, and I'm a Jamaican. So I just left some frat brothers a while ago at a meeting, and I really enjoyed that. Then I played a soccer match against a team in Miami. One of the top players broke my knee. He's played in the World Cup. And there was a girl, and she felt sorry for me, and I liked her, and I transferred from Houston to Miami. A year after transferring, she marries me. We've been married 38 years. So this is a long-winded way to tell you why I got into sports. I'm a clinical psychologist by training, but my wife says, you're crazy, so you really shouldn't talk to crazy people. You should just talk to people that you're like, which is athletes. And as usual, best decisions I ever make in my life was based on something she suggested. And it's been good. Yeah, that's the reason.
It's just your love for sports.
I love sport.
No, his answer was because his wife told him to.
Right. So because
Yeah.
of his love for sports.
The answer is it's a combination, Rob, and Missy. It's yep, listening to the better half and the smarter person in the equation. My PhD is as much hers as it is mine.
Aw.
I would write and she would clean up.
You know, it takes a really good man to admit that, because I know how much I do in the background here at my house. And I say I have a PhD in Jamal Mashburn University. And it is amazing because it takes a village, it takes two, and it takes a couple. Congrats on 38 years of marriage, first off. That is impressive.
Yep, 1987. And I heard a statistic the other day, 86% of the successful men are married.
Hey,
But
Actually, I heard this yesterday.
yeah, I think it was on your podcast or something with you, Mr. And then the women that are successful are not necessarily married. Their best friend is like their girlfriend or somebody. We need them, but they don't so much need us.
So
I don't know about
literally
that.
an Instagram post, and it did say 86% of men who are successful are married, but then it says that the women don't need to be married. Exactly what he's saying. He said that women don't need to be married to be successful, that most successful women are actually not married. So it was a very wild.
And they got their girlfriends, and yeah.
Yes, because we confide in remember, Robert, when we were on the other podcast with Wale, we were talking about how women naturally confide and they share their feelings and their emotions with their friend circles and their groups, so they work through their problems with a tribe, and that you guys don't necessarily do that.
Go ahead, Rob.
Based on what you guys are saying, or what this data, that means if 86% of successful men are married, and that number is for women unmarried, that means the men are married to 14% of women who aren't successful? Like, percent of women who are successful is 14% that are married to successful men.
But it's just like, no, I think you're doing the math wrong. I'm going to show it. I'll send it to you later. You're doing the math.
Send it to me, because it didn't sound right to me. It sounded like 86% of men that are successful are married, and the same number or higher, or whatever it is, a high number of successful women are not married. So that means a high number of women who are married are not successful.
They didn't give a statistic for the women number of successful women. But nice.
We're going down a wrong rabbit hole there, Robert. But
we're going down a rabbit hole.
I'm sorry.
So, Dr. Hamilton, let's try and get ourselves out of this particular rabbit hole, though I'm sure we'll find another one as we do on this show. So tell us, what made you interested in mental health? Was it like a particular, usually we ask our guests, what was a moment in your life or in your work where you began to really understand the importance of mental health? And maybe that's tied to why you chose to become a psychologist, or maybe it's not. But we'd love to hear more about that. Why are you driven to help people with their mental health?
Okay, so again, my dad was a big shot lawyer in Jamaica, and did very well. First Jamaican to be public defender, knighted by the Queen, which is called Queen's Counsel. That means he could defend the Queen of England. We used to be a Commonwealth. So initially, I wanted to do law, but his shoes were kind of big. And I said, I need to go branch out and do my own thing. My sisters are lawyers, one from University of Miami and one from University of the West Indies and the University in London. And yeah, I took a psychology course and I really enjoyed understanding about the brain and the mind and why people do things. And I remember in the PhD, one of my professors, he was from Harvard, but he didn't get his doctorate from Harvard. He got like his bachelor's or his master's, but he constantly told us he was from Harvard. You know, every day he would remind us he's from Harvard. But he said, are you studying to become a clinical psychologist to understand your parents' divorce? I said, I don't know, maybe. My parents got divorced when I was 8, and I acted out in school. I used to get into a lot of trouble, and I used to fight people like my sisters. And I spent my whole academic life studying a region of the brain called the limbic cortical region. And that's the part of the brain that causes you to do dumb stuff. It's supposed to protect us. We're not really running from lions and tigers, no, but it can be very overprotective, and it likes alcohol and weed and drugs because it weakens the prefrontal cortex and executive functioning. So you can kind of do more stupid stuff the more your inhibitions are reduced.
Wow.
So yeah.
So, you know, that's very interesting. Had there been a moment in your life that you had a tough time with your mental health? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. The tough time relates to what you're going or went through and your family went through, Robert, with your daughter. I was finishing my doctorate. I was the chief intern at Health South Rehab Hospital, and there was a Jamaican family whose son died in a car accident, and I was seeing all of them, and then it was hard, and then I got a position at FIU where I became assistant dean in the College of Medicine and a director of research of the McNair program. And there was a young lady who had a daughter, really young daughter, like 3 or 4, but she wanted to commit suicide. And it's then that I really understood the power of this limbic cortical region, because when the limbic cortical region is messing with you, in a person that wants to commit suicide, every morning, as soon as that person wakes up, the first thing the limbic cortical region says to them is, hi, good morning. How are you doing today? You know what would be a good idea? If you were not here. All the problems you have would be gone if you jumped off of a building or you did whatever it is that the brain is telling them to do to leave. And that was really hard for me. That person is still alive. Her daughter recently graduated from FIU, the girl that was the 3-year-old.
Wow.
So yeah, that was really hard. I hadn't thought of it in a while, Robert. But yeah, that was a tough part for me.
How did you process that and get through that time for your personal feelings, for your personal mental health? What did you do to get through that?
Well, at the time I was a chief intern, and I was still under supervision. So I've had good supervisors.
Right.
So one of them was my supervisor. Had a couple, and one, again, best girl in my life, my wife. You know,
Right.
I couldn't share too much, but every time I've gone through anything difficult, she's like, "Don't stress it. We'll work it out. It'll be all right." You know, and it's been true. Um, God is good. Uh, Tables turn. You know,
Right.
and prayers get answered.
Where does your wife get her, where do you think your wife gets her leadership qualities and this ability to like keep you calm and kind of take the world in the view that she takes it in terms of all the situations she's very, very impactful in your life. Where was she, did she grow up in the church? Was her family in psychology? Like, where do you think she got her superpower from?
All right. So her parents are from Jamaica. She was born in Toronto, Canada.
Woo,
And
Toronto.
yeah, okay. Toronto people are good people. So if I'm going to tell you the superpower, it's Canada.
I am
Canada
Canadian.
is some.
Woo-hoo!
Oh yeah, Canada. I love my daughter. So my wife is my number one girl. My number two girl is my daughter, and she's gone. She's in Canada living now. She's enjoying it. She's doing really well there. So the superpower, to go back to it, Robert, is this: her parents are from Jamaica, and they went to that high school, my last high school. So she that Canadian thing where they don't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
They're
Culture.
kind. It's cold. Yeah. I mean, I notice it when I go, and I notice it more now. And yeah, that's the superpower. Their sense of humor, their ability to not stress. I'll give you a quick story. I am flying back from Japan. So I flew up to Japan to go to be with my athlete who is now the world champion. And when I'm getting on the plane, I don't have the best ticket. But they said to me, if I'm okay with sitting in this particular seat, they will move me up. Not right to first class, but right behind. Because the chair table, the thing that they put out for you to eat, is not working properly. I said, cool. The tray table. I said, I'll sit there. I'll figure out how to eat. So I sit in that table, and but it wasn't working properly. They had Scotch tape, blue Scotch tape. But when it was time to eat, I pull it out, I use it, and then I put it back, and I put the Scotch tape back. So I'm good. All right, we go. My athlete, we do our thing. He wins the world championship. I'm back on the plane Monday. I'm coming back. I get back on the plane, and when I get back on the plane, I realize I'm like, wait a minute, this is my good luck plane. It's the same plane because there's the same blue tape, same seat where I sat in. So I'm like, this is the plane I flew up on. So a father said to me, would you mind if my son sat in your seat? No, if you sat in his seat and he could sit in the window seat. I had the window seat. I said, no problem. So I go and I sit in the aisle and I let the son sit in the window. 13-hour flight. Make this story real quick. 13-hour flight. The man is coughing the whole time, really bad. And I'm like, oh my God. The lady beside me, oh, that's a key part of this story. She said, she asked me to help her. I put my passport. I always put my passport right in my bag, but I didn't. I helped this little lady, and I put it on top of my bag. And so it's dark. It's at my feet, and this man is coughing the whole flight. Plus, there was a baby crying the whole 13 hours. So when the flight lands, I'm like, I gotta get off this plane quick. I don't want to see this man even coughing on me the whole night. I even tapped him and I said, big man, can you cover your mouth or something? All right. Long and story the story. I rushed to put on my backpack. my passport is not in my bag. It fell on the floor. I rush out. I have global entry. So I rush through customs. I get to the American Airlines. I'm looking for my passport. It's not there. It's back on the plane. I start to panic. Limbic cortical region. I say, you're trained to teach athletes how to manage this. Panicking right now is not going to get your passport back in your hand. What are you going to do to get your passport back? So I asked the gentleman right there, I said, can you go on the plane and get my passport back? He said, no, I can't go on the plane. As a matter of fact, that plane is gone to be cleaned. I'm like, I don't know where I got this thought, but I said, could you just look through the cameras and see if it's still at the gate? He looked through the cameras, still at the gate. He then says, I can't go, but my supervisor could go. I said, all right, I really don't love men, but I will be in love with you if you could go and get your supervisor to go and get this for me. He says, yep. Ask the supervisor. Supervisor said, yep, I'm going to go on there. Supervisor went on, got the passport. But the thing is, the real situation is the supervisor, cannot give me back the passport. He has to see a customs agent. So while I'm sitting there waiting, I pray to God. I pray to my dad who passed away like 3 years ago. And I pray to this guy who, my friend, he passed away like a few weeks ago. He was the best soccer player ever in Jamaica. And I said, Skill, QC is what I call my dad, and God, I know you guys did something special in Japan because we won the world championship. Could you please do something so I get this passport back in my hand? 48 minutes go by. I hear somebody come around the corner. Jason Scott Hamilton. I say, yes, sir. Date of birth, May 28, 1962. All right, can you take your hat off, sir? I take my hat off. He says, have you aged since? I say, yeah, I've probably gotten a lot older since I've been standing here. He said, cause in the passport, your beard is white. I mean, your beard is black and it's gray now. So that's a story of me managing my mind and praying to God. And it worked out right after coming from Japan. So I know all of you travel a lot. Put your passport in your bag as you get on the plane.
You're great.
But his wife is from Canada.
Yeah, he's a great story. You're a great storyteller.
Sorry, yes, I like telling stories, Robert. That's how I just finished talking at Martha's Vineyard, and they said I sound like some old African griot. I told real good stories, and they liked it.
Well, I would love to take you back. I'm originally from Winnipeg, Canada, by the way, but this is the first time I've ever heard of this limbic cortical region. And I didn't realize that there was a region of the brain, like the amount that you delved into and talked about, that would literally tell somebody who has suicidal ideations that it would be better if they were gone. Like, that is not something I've come across in the 3 years I've been involved in the mental health space. And that seems like very new information. I don't know, Misty, for you or for Robert, but that's very alarming. Like, is there a way to control this limbic system, or like, what's the issue with the limbic system? How is it impacted to make these negative decisions or negative suggestions?
There is ways of treating it. EMDR, eye movement desensitization response, or neurolinguistic programming. There's a region of the brain as well called the anterior cingulate cortex, which is, you can make it stronger. And it's a part of the brain that, all right, let's use push-ups for example. Most people don't like doing push-ups. But if you do the thing you don't like to do every day, you strengthen that region of the brain. And a thing that suicidal people get weak at is giving in to this region that is suggesting to them that they should leave the earth. So if you can strengthen the anterior cingulate cortex to where the person is stronger at saying no and even laughing, right? Because it's like a voice, and you're like, I know who you are. Yeah. There's a guy called Stephen Peters, who's one of the top sports psychologists in the world, and he created a theory called the chimp paradox. and he's explaining the human brain, which is a very difficult thing to understand, in a simplistic way. He's saying there's the human, which is us, then there's a chimp, which is the limbic cortical region, and then there's the computer. So your computer is going to do all the behaviors. When you were an NFL star, Robert, your computer knows how, but you could get in and don't play as well. What I do really well is I get athletes to perform on the day they need to perform, the way they need to perform that day. That's why they bring me in. So managing that limbic cortical region is possible, and it's also possible by strengthening that region called anterior cingulate cortex.
So this sounds like what we call like mental conditioning, right? Let's become sort of like more of a popular term.
Yes, exactly. Mental conditioning, cognitive behavioral restructuring.
So for the benefit of our listeners, can you give us 3 tips or tools that would actually mentally condition your brain and strengthen the limbic cortical region? What would we need to do?
Okay, all my athletes do a PGBB. And if you hear the PGBB, you're like, what the hell is that, Dr. Hamilton? It's just a daily mantra or a daily assignment that I have. So, like, I have an athlete, and I started working with him in middle school. He's the grandson of the first Miami Heat coach, Ron Rothstein. And if I look at his text today, it would be like hashtag 2,773 PGBB. Means 2,773 days ago, he started working with me. He started working with, he's now an NCAA athlete. He's doing very well. Not so good on defense. But if you want 30 points in a game, put him in. His nickname is 10 threes. He shoots like 400 every night to go to bed. And yeah, so the PGBB is just a thing that I took it from Eastern philosophy. It's my own. I copyright it with my mental strength development program. So the person does a plank. If they're right-handed or left-handed, I just want them to focus. If you're right-handed, focus on the back of your hand for 60 seconds. Don't think about Snapchat, TikTok, your girlfriend, nothing else. Anything fly in your head, swipe it right. Right? Just focus on the back of your hand. If you can do that for 60 seconds and think of nothing else, I can help your brain and your anterior cingulate cortex get really strong. So
when you say focus on the back of the hand, what do you mean focus on the back of the hand? Just think about the back of the hand?
You're looking at the back of your hand. So you're in a plank position, Robert.
You're
right?
in a
Your
plank.
hand flat on the ground, like this. You're in the plank position on your elbows and on your toes. Stomach flat. Don't put your butt up too high in the air. 60 seconds every day. It's the 60 seconds of blank. Back of the hand.
So it's like a form of meditation, I think, is what you're kind of sounding like your focal point is the back of your hand, and when you have a thought, you kind of have to let it go, swipe it away, like you said, right? The point is to keep your blade focused on that hand for 60 seconds to train your concentration to let things go and focus. Is that what you're saying?
Excellent, Misty. Correct. So it's just meditation, focus on the back of your hand. That's the P. G is gratitude. Tell me 3 things you're grateful for. And every day is 3 different things, right? So that's a G. B is 10 6-2-7s. I need you to go outside your house, not in the air condition. A 6-2-7 is a breathing technique. So you're going to inhale through your nose for a slow count. I know you do this a lot, Misty, and we did this last time we presented. So you inhale through your nose for a slow count of 6. Hold your breath for a slow count of 2. Then blow out through your mouth like you're blowing through a straw for a slow count of 7. So the corpus callosum separates the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. When we are actually focused on our breathing, it's the only time our left side of our brain and our right side of our brain are working together. So you are in complete control of your brain. There are Tibetan monks who once they're awake, they know every breath they take, right? So I can help an athlete calm down. You're about to shoot a free throw, do a 3-2-5. Just calm yourself down. Nothing going to happen until you shoot, right? You're about to start the 100-meter final, do a quick 3-2-5 is just a shorter version. 3 inhale, hold 2, exhale 5. 4 seconds, you finish. So the P, if we had to remember to breathe, all of us would be dead. Parasympathetic nervous system takes care of our breathing, right? So when you're actually concentrating on your breathing, you are managing your mind. So the P is for plank, P is for gratitude, P is for breathing. That's 6-2-7. You do that outside in the fresh air. Final B, and every time I say it, people laugh at me. It's brushing your teeth. And you're like, Dr. Hamilton, why do you need to know when I'm brushing my teeth? I don't need to know when you're brushing your teeth. But when you're brushing your teeth, you should hear my Jamaican accent, and it should say, Misty, did you remember to send the text to Dr. Hamilton? Simple. So that's one technique to answer that question. There's others. There's a whole host of them that I teach the athletes.
Thank you. I just think it would be it's very insightful, especially for the purpose of our podcast, that people could just learn just those 4 things. Like, I don't think everybody listening to the podcast is going to text you while they're brushing your teeth, but if at the end you want to provide us your phone number, then we'll make sure that they all start sending you messages, and that may generate new clients for you, because I know Robert has a few people he can recommend you himself, wink, wink, but.
Oh, definitely.
So I think, Dr. Hamilton, everything that you're saying is just extremely interesting to us as we continue to learn. I mean, you and I have had a lot of discussions, but I think there's so much more to learn here, for myself and for Robert and Bailey and for all of our listeners, certainly about how our brain functions, because I always say that in mental health, when you kind of go down that dark path, your brain it's almost like your brain's trying to trick you, because it's very hard to overpower that. Even sometimes when you do mentally condition, you are very mentally strong. Sometimes that region of your brain and those thoughts are so powerful. And that's why maybe you can speak to this. I don't know the data on this. I don't think it's possible to get data on this, but it seems, that suicide is sometimes impulsive, because maybe that brain is really tricky, and you're not realizing that it's tricky because it's just consuming you. It's just all consuming. So can you kind of talk through that part with us a little bit more? Because I think it would be beneficial, again, for all of us to understand how those systems work, and how your brain does try to, lack of better words, trick you into thinking the worst, which for some people maybe suicide.
Yeah. This is a really good point, in that suicidal ideation can affect younger people more. And let me explain what I mean by that. So the female, again, smarter of the 2 sexes, their prefrontal cortex is fully developed at 21. The male, fully developed at 25. Now, one of the things that I do in my practice with athletes is I said to the athlete, I'm going to introduce you to yourself in the future, right? There's this really cool version of you that's done a lot of great things, but we have to get you there. The problems that will cause a young person to commit suicide, if that person got help and was able to strengthen their anterior cingulate cortex, and say they get to 30 or 40 years old, you present the same situations that caused them to want to commit suicide when they were younger, and be like, that's not a big deal. Why was I stressing so much over? That's nonsense. There are kids in school that will commit suicide or want to commit suicide because Sally has been mean to them. And Sally says, when you come to school on Monday, I'm going to beat you up. Right? So they spend the whole weekend worrying about Sally beating them up on Monday. And Mondays come and Mondays go, and Sally never even had a fight with him. Sally doesn't even remember saying that. You understand? But that person could have acted. You understand what I'm saying, Misty? It could have acted on that.
Right.
Just
Of
because
the threat.
and that person, their brain just they took it down a whole other
Right.
and just ruminate and perseverate and go on and on and on and on.
Fear.
There are
Fear.
youngsters who commit suicide because something bad happened. They were abused by some adult, and they told a relative, and nothing got done. So they think nothing could be done, and it's just going to get worse. So it's better if I leave. You really need to, in your foundation and in anything that's helping these youngsters, is helping them understand that these thoughts that are perseverating are not necessarily okay. So maybe that person didn't help you, but that doesn't mean there aren't people that will help you, you know, or it I used to say there's a few different examples of why a youngster would commit suicide. And then if that youngster gets help, gets strong, and you show that those same problems to the adult version, they'd be like, I can't believe that thing was stressing me so much. You know,
Right.
it's like we're all adults now. So we deal with big people problems, mortgage and all kind of things. People that we love pass away and everything. The things that we took as great, serious problems in our teen years, you present them to us now and be like, that's not a problem. You know, let me show you a
Right.
problem. I can show you some really big problems.
Is that directly related because it's a chemical imbalance that change, or
Yes,
is it a
there you
muscle?
go.
Is it a muscle change? Like when you say the limbic cortical region has to get stronger, is it chemically or is it muscular?
Okay, so yeah, chemical imbalance, which is again, I go back to where that region likes alcohol, likes drugs, likes anything that weakens the prefrontal cortex. So, and it, here's the same thing. A woman having her menses or her period, she can be emotionally impacted to whereby those thoughts are overwhelming. You know, she wouldn't have been that bad if it wasn't that time of the month, right? That's a chemical imbalance compounded with the other things that are happening.
Wow.
So yeah, when the chemical imbalance is strong, I remember being at the school system and there was a lady that she beat the assistant principal with a chair, and she got off because the medical doctors proved that her menses were very powerful. She wasn't in her right mind. This is not normal behavior for her. You understand?
Yes,
Not
I
just
understand completely. I'm writing down these directions exactly. What's the lawyer's name? No.
So, Dr. Hamilton, I want to come back to something that you said and just reiterate something that you said that was so important. That if you go to somebody and you don't get the help or support that you need, don't
Yeah.
stop. Don't
Mhm.
quit on yourself. A lot of what we talk about, in fact, our acronym at Kennedy Kids is life. I had a middle school teacher, actually at Palmetto Middle, who taught me always choose life. And that's always stuck with me. But I think that that's so important. Like, you may be in the fight of your life, but don't give up on yourself because the one you ask one person and they didn't help you, right? Because I think sometimes what happens is when people reach that point, they feel like they're beyond the point and ability of getting help. They feel like they're too far gone. Like there's no help, nothing could possibly help them at this. You know, they're lost. This is their life. This is it. And that's why one of the reasons they want out. And so I just wanted to sort of like reiterate what you said there, because I think that's so important that, like we say at Kennedy Kids, you know, always choose life, but you cannot, just don't give up on yourself. Ask again, find somebody else ask.
Mitzi, I agree so much with that statement, and you don't realize that one teacher at Palmetto, because so many times when I used to do suicide prevention and teaching, you know, and I was pointing out, it's not, you're gonna make mistakes in your life and you're gonna make some bad decisions, but that bad decision right there, that's really a stupid decision. You know, and people like, Dr. Howard, why you being, listen, if you decide to jump off a building and halfway down, like at the 13th floor, you say, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, it's not going to pencil out well, you know? So that person that told you choose life, simple teacher don't realize how powerful what they said is to you.
Yeah, she was my 10th grade English teacher, as I'm thinking back about it, and we were studying the Holocaust. But as I have struggled with my own mental health, she has no idea how much that one lesson has impacted my life and made me continue to fight when I didn't want to, even as an adult.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's so important to talk about these things, and I thank you for doing this and encouraging people and talking about the realities of what it's like, and encouraging people to continue to push forward.
I am so proud of you and that you're one of my doctoral students. And I remember you telling me this before. Bailey, I'm sorry that I spoke before you. Go ahead.
No. Praise her. I was about to do the same thing and tell her I was so proud of her too. And I'm so happy that she chose life and that she became a part of the Kennedy Kids Foundation. And listening to the two of you with the exchange that you shared, like, even I've struggled with my own mental health as well. And you're right. When the menses, the flow starts, the crazy happens, and it really runs you ragged. And the thing that you guys both kind of said together without saying was like, not to stop looking for help, and to choose life. But at the end of the day, what I'm really getting from those two statements is that there's a way to fix it, because it's a cortex or a chemical imbalance, that there is an answer. And that if people just knew, hey, listen, it's not you, it's not, something's going on in your brain, something wrong is happening. And if you just keep asking for help until the right person helps you, you can come up out of this and it's not over, you know.
And it takes incredible strength to do that, because when you're in that place, you're not thinking rationally. You're not thinking like we're thinking very linearly right now, like very like A plus B equals, you know, C, or 1 + 1 = 2. You're not thinking like that. So it takes incredible strength to be able to overpower that and say, no, like I'm going to fight another day. Like you're right. I'm not going to let that win.
I don't think we say it enough. Like, honestly, I don't think we say it enough. Like, hey, there's a fix for this. You don't have to go that route. There's a way to solve this problem. I don't think I'm hearing enough of that speech and that talk. And I don't feel like I've been saying it either. So to hear you say that it changed your life by hearing someone tell you to choose life, like, I want to be also able to save someone else's life by saying, hey, there's a fix for it. You just have to keep asking for help till you get it, so that we're ingraining this into people's daily speech and everyone is saying it. If the community is sharing it that way, then maybe we could start making believers out of people who are struggling. Well, like you're saying, that, you know, when you're in it, you can't get there. But if you're hearing
you just need that little voice to say, you just always choose life, and then maybe that gives you enough to go one more day, and then one more day, and one more day, and one more day, until you do find that solution. And
that one more day makes your anterior cingulate cortex stronger. So then no limbic cortical region isn't as strong. That part of your brain, the anterior cingulate cortex, it gets bigger the more you get stronger doing difficult things. So I'm really glad that you, Robert, Bailey, Misty, you guys got me on this call, because I keep saying, like, I have about 10 more years doing this, and I would like to share as much as I know in the 10 more years. And I'm glad, I'm glad, I'm glad that more and more people are talking about mental health. Mitzi, you said it. Bailey, you said it. Everybody has. But people think, oh, if you're talking to a psychologist, that means you're crazy. Or if I'm talking about mental health, that means something is wrong with me. No, everybody has mental health issues, right? Some people just deal with it better. But if you're educated and you understand, look, I was in Tokyo when Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles, I was right beside Simone. I was there one day when she was practicing. And it was at that Olympics she decided, I'm taking a break.
Right.
And Naomi was the one that lit the Olympic torch. She also has been speaking out. So the more people speaking out, especially in the sports arena or sports field, I mean, one is better for my practice, but it's just better in general, you know, for people to understand that this is as important as the physical health of the patient.
So, Dr. Hamilton, one of the things that we've been noticing consistently since our podcast focuses on sports and entertainment personalities is that the sports people have been talking about, like when we talk to an athlete, they've been saying that they've been going through this same procedure, all of them consistently, where none of them want to admit that they're going through challenges or dealing with anything mental health related because they're all afraid of not making the team or being cut or being held back. And I'm noticing that a lot of this, because a lot of men are athletes, like that a lot of this stems from like they start in they're 5 years old, they're 10 years old, they're 12 years old, they're 18 years old, and there's no when can they share so that they don't make the team or they don't get picked. And that,
yeah, they have to be tough, and I know it's foolishness. It's coming, Bailey, but maybe these mid-season one, maybe these doctoral students that I'm training. I just had a young lady. She's she's doing her postdoc at Harvard. She just published her first article yesterday, so I'm really proud of her. It's coming. It's coming, and it's important that we're doing this. And I'm really proud to know your foundation and to start to do work with you guys.
well, we thank you for your time today. We're coming up on the end of our show. Robert, do you have any more questions before I begin my closeout?
I just have a statement. I'm just very appreciative of his information. And it was also, wonderful to hear Misty. And Misty, we love you. But
Yeah.
Dr. Hamilton said so many important things. It's enlightening. And it makes me proud to know that our podcast is really giving the information and the resources and this type of like rawness for people to listen to, and then actually after listening just sit by themselves and think about what he said and maybe try to implement some of those techniques in their life, in the morning, at night, whenever, and I'm just thankful that we had this podcast and this guest.
I am as well. We have learned so much today, Dr. Hamilton. Where can our viewers and listeners find you?
They can find me at www.elitesportspsychology.com, Instagram, DRJS Hamilton, or Elite Sports Psychology. And they can text my office at 786-226-5115.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I would personally love to invite you to have an offline call with myself, Robert, and Misty to talk about maybe being involved in the Kennedy Kids Foundation. If you'd be interested in providing additional guidance and helping us to change hearts and minds and letting people know that, there is an option to choose life, and all you have to do is focus on one more day, just one day at a time. And thank you for sharing your technique, your trademark technique of planking, focusing for 60 seconds, explaining picking 3 things to be grateful about, breathing in your 627, and then brushing your teeth and texting Dr. Hamilton. So
Breathing outside, fresh air.
Yes,
Super
fresh
important
air.
part of that.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please have them visit kennedykids.org. Log on to our resources page. You can follow us, you can join, you can volunteer, you can donate, and you can look at our upcoming events. And of course, if it is an emergency, please have them dial 911. But if they need to talk to somebody, have them dial or call 988 for assistance. Thank you again, Dr. Hamilton, so much. I'd love to talk to you about this further.
I will.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.